Okay, gang. So you're welcome to another episode of You Are Not the Only One Fucking Up Your Life. I am too, proudly. I mean, that is not the official name for this YouTube channel, but I think we can go with it as a nickname, I guess, for now, right? Now, before we get into the video, I want you to know that this video and what I'm about to share today is something that is going to benefit you, because it's about being human. And I know for a fact that it's not a cat or a bowl of soup that is watching me behind the screen right now. So yeah, you're gonna have to stick around to know why I'm saying what I'm saying. Now, before we get into the video and what I have to share today, I've seen that about 66% of you guys who watch my YouTube channel, who watch my videos, haven't yet subscribed, right? And I want you to do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Let's get that number to like 50%, you get me? Because like when I see people subscribe, it gives me more motivation to learn more, to share more, to make you know that you are not the only one fucking up your life, you get me? Yes, so with that out of the way, let's get into the video. So now let me take you a couple of steps back to my dark days. Well, I've talked about this one quite extensively in one of my videos on my channel. You can check it out on my channel. I'll leave the link in the description or find it up here. And in that video, I made mention of this concept, the survival mode concept. And I want to talk about this concept in this video and let you know why I think most of us are stuck in that mode or in that situation and we can't get out. Okay, so now after I lost almost all my savings to this thing that I got involved in, I was kicked into survival mode. And by survival mode, I mean that moment in your life where you don't have like anything on you in any of your bank accounts. Like all you can think about is where to get your next money from. You wish you could convert your snap score into like money, take it to Amelia and tell Amelia that Amelia, mommy, watch say, made him snap score, you feel me? That was where I was at. Like it was bad. And I know I'm not the only one who has been in that situation. Most of us have been there at least once in our lifetimes. And sometimes we get involved in some things that we look back on and we are not very proud of. I was one of those people who got involved in some of those things that I'm looking back right now on and I'm like not feeling very proud of. And I hope it doesn't come to get me in the future, but if it does, I think I'm going to face it head on and then take responsibility for my actions back then. Anybody who has been in that position would attest to the fact that life in that mode is like crazy. I mean, it got to a point where like I couldn't help it. I called my mom and on the phone I broke down and I was like crying like a baby boy. And like, you know how African parents are not very used to their kids expressing how they feel to them. The reaction I got was like funny as hell. You know, it got to a point I think they thought I was going to hurt myself in some way. Me with the love life like this. Be virgin. We are the way to marry. Hey. So that was where it was at. And I think it's high time anybody at all, everybody starts speaking to everybody when they go through some things and they think they need somebody to talk to. You know, even though I didn't get a reaction I wanted from them, it's moved some of the things out of my chest. You know, like they expressed their love for me and their care for me. They made me feel like I'm cared for, you know, even though things are not going as planned, they still care for my life and my well-being and all. They kept calling me to check up on me and all of that. So I think you guys should talk to people when you feel like you need help. So now back on track, and to put it simply, I was just being controlled by my emotions. Like any small thing will happen, then my mood all will spoil, and like the shit that I've seen will start replaying in my head and since, you get me? Like I just couldn't help it. Yeah, and after some time I'm like, bro, fuck this. And then I like just decided to get back on this self-development journey again. I mean, before this thing happened, I was on that journey, and then I hopped back on it, started reading, started like working out, listening to podcasts and like, you know, all those nerdy stuff. Now, in doing all those nerdy stuff, right, I've come to learn a whole bunch of things about humans and why we do some of the things we do. I got pretty lucky and picked up this book titled Master Your Emotions by Thibaut Meurisse. I hope I got the name right. I don't know if I got the name right, but picked up this book and it has been like life-changing for me. I would recommend this book to anybody who wants to take charge of how they feel and how they see like their internal processing thoughts and all of those things. You get me? Highly recommend this book, Charlie. It has been so beneficial to me. Shout outs to the author wherever he is. Like, phenomenal book. Because I was still going through the Shege small, the Shege hadn't completely left the scene, right? It took me more than the usual time that I used to finish reading a book, which is 30 days to finish this book. Like, it took me about 60 days for me to finish this book. And I came across some very interesting concepts that I'm going to share some of them in this video and the rest in subsequent videos as well. Now, one of the very interesting concepts in the book that I find very intriguing and I want to share with you is the fact that it is not your brain's job to make you happy. When you think about it, it's kind of a painful truth a little bit, but then at the same time it's quite liberating, like if you think about it the right way. It is not your brain's job to make you happy. Your brain is not designed to make you happy. Your brain's basic function is to make sure that you survive, is to make sure that you don't die, is to make sure that you live long enough to procreate and bring forth offspring. It is not your brain's job to make you happy. Quite an interesting statement, isn't it? Okay. So now think of it this way. In order for you to be alive right now, in order for you to have life and be watching me right now, all the ancestors that came before you had to survive long enough to give birth to others, for them to give birth to others, for them to give birth to others, for you to be born, right? And in their quest for survival, they probably faced death like 100 times, tracing it back to as long as the human race has existed. They probably faced death like 100 times, making it their default setting to scan their environment to make sure that there are no bears or tigers or lions or whatever in their environment that posed a threat to their survival. Even when you look at it from this other standpoint, the sperm cell that got head on with the egg that gave birth to you had to raise 200 million to 300 million other sperm cells, and lucky you, fast you, got head on with the egg first before you were conceived. So like, it has been our default setting to scan our environment to make sure we are surviving, to make sure that we are not dying, to make sure that we are living, to make sure that we are living long enough to procreate. I wasn't the best student in my math class, but 1 out of 200 million or 300 million is a very low probability for anything to exist, for anything to happen. Like 1 out of 200 million is like a crazy amount. Through all these experiences and this quest for survival, this quest to like live long enough to procreate, we have been hardwired to scan our environments to make sure that there are no physical threats in our environments, right? And in my case, my brain tricked me to believe that I was in some sort of physical threat just because I didn't have a job and I didn't have any money, almost any money on me. Like, my brain tricked me into believing that I was in some sort of physical threat. Realistically, I wasn't going to die. Realistically, I wasn't in any physical danger, but my brain, because it has been hardwired that way, made me believe that I was in some sort of danger. And all I did in that position was to just listen to my brain and look for money wherever and however way I could. And I'm sure that is where most of us are right now. Because it is your brain's job to make sure that you survive, it can trick you into believing that you leaving your job or you leaving that miserable relationship is going to pose a threat to your survival, and that's like you are just going to live there and be okay there just because your brain is familiar with that type of situation. You get me? It feels like if you leave that situation, you are going to be in some sort of physical threat or physical danger. That is the game or the tricks that our brains play with us and if you don't take care, like it's just going to keep you wherever you are for as long as you live this life. Chances are you've had rejection at least once in your life by somebody, a person, or by an institution, or by a group of people, right? And you and I would attest to the fact that you felt some type of emotional pain that came with that rejection. This is because we are social animals, right? And back when human beings used to live in caves, being rejected by your tribe or by the group you were in drastically reduced your chances of survival. Again, your brain plays a trick on you by making you feel like that rejection that you just had is a threat to your survival. Even though we don't live in caves anymore, we are hardwired to believe that this rejection poses a threat to our survival. That is why when we get rejected by somebody we love, or by some group of people, or by an institution, we feel disappointed in some way. But then this disappointment, if left unchecked, can actually make you depressed. Your mind will dramatize it and make you depressed through that experience. The funny thing about this whole survival mode stuff is that all of it happened unconsciously. Like, you don't know that this is what is going on in your mind. You don't know that this is why I'm doing this thing that I'm doing. In my case, it clouded my judgment so bad that I blindly got involved in some things that, again, looking back on, I'm not very proud of. That is where most of us are right now. We are in those situations just because we haven't realized that that is where we are. We are stuck in jobs that we hate, or in relationships that are making us very miserable on the inside. The little readings that I've done, the little research and the learnings that I've done has shown me with some level of certainty that human beings, you and I, are biased negatively. It is our natural state to focus on the negatives instead of the positives that we want in our lives. And so if you really want to be happy and stay positive and have a bright personality, you're going to have to put in like a lot of effort. You're going to have to focus on the positives rather than the negatives, because it is not your natural state to stay positive. If you leave your mind unchecked, if you leave it to feed itself, it will feed itself with things that are going to help you to survive. And that is going to push you in that survival mode state that we are trying to avoid here. And with the help of social media, it's going to like intensify the feeling of you not being good enough, or you not doing enough, and like those comparison stuff, you know. Believe it or not, you are the creator of the life that you are living right now. And so if you are living in sickness, or in lack, or in sadness, or in happiness, or all of those things, it means your thoughts are that of sadness, or the lack, or the sickness that you are living in right now. Even though sometimes we don't have control over most of the things that happen in our lives, like how the economy goes and all of those things, if we accept, or if we focus on the negatives, it affirms the acceptance of those hardships in our conscious minds. Like, we unconsciously accept those things in our conscious minds, and that has an effect on how things actually turn out. No matter how hard we try, things are going to be hard, because we accepted unconsciously in our minds that things are hard. Again, this is one concept that I would speak about very extensively on one, or at least some of the videos that I would talk about on the concept of the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, and a whole bunch of other nerdy stuff. I've started to see the blessing in the little misfortune that happened in my life, you know, because it has helped me to learn a whole bunch of things about myself and about people in general, why we do some of the things we do. It has pushed me to know some of the bad habits that I unconsciously engaged in that haven't served me in like my whole life, I guess. I am learning how to be calm in chaos, how to be grateful for life and the people around me and the things that I have. And so I feel like if you are somebody who has the propensity towards that aspect of life, I think you should like this video and subscribe to the channel, just so you and I would be able to learn how to better take control over our lives and be happy again, like I am learning how to be happy, right? And like I said, I will be sharing all of these things that I learn on here maybe, just maybe, somebody on here would be able to learn something from some of my experiences and the experiences of others in the near future. And just remember, you are not the only one who is fucking up your life. I am doing the same thing, and I'm doing it proudly. Actually, I'm doing it proudly. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video, probably next week, God willing. Be safe. We're out.